Step out of the car, now." The voice was sharp, cold. Eyes locked on her through the windshield. A stocky white cop, hand hovering near his holster, closing in on her car. No warning lights, no clear violation, no reason, other than the fact that she was a black woman who didn't look afraid. "For what?" Camilla asked, not loud, not shaken, just firm enough to say, "I know I did nothing wrong." But he didn't need a reason. He yanked the door open, pulled her out, pinned her against the cabin, and began a search. Right there. No witnesses. Except for the dash cam, silently recording everything. Days later, that footage would spark an internal affairs investigation. Not because she made headlines, not because the internet blew up, but because Camilla Hayes was a U.S. Army lieutenant colonel, and she knew exactly what she was up against. What you're about to see is what happens when a black woman refuses to bow to injustice and uses calm to shake an entire system. This isn't just a confrontation between a cop and a civilian. It's a showdown between power used to obedience and dignity that won't back down. Toledo, Ohio, 11:43 p.m. A light drizzle fell as the city streets lay quiet, tucked into sleep. Camilla Hayes, lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, strategy expert, and ethics instructor at West Point, drove her sedan home after a long day of meetings on base. No music played. Only the steady rhythm of the wipers and the flicker of streetlights on her windshield kept her company. She heard her mother's voice again. "Keep a cool head. You are your own shield." Her eyes, sharp as blades, stayed alert, always ready. Flashing red and blue lights lit up behind her, like cold eyes watching from the dark. No sirens, just silent command. Camilla's hands gripped the wheel. Her heart beat faster, but her hands never shook. She pulled over. Gravel crunched beneath her tires. Window down. Hands at 10 and 2. Back straight, like a soldier before battle. A black woman in America, she knew exactly what those lights meant. Tonight, she was ready. Officer Bradley Kane stepped out of the patrol car. 15 years on the Toledo police force. His tall frame emerged from the rain, uniform snug, boots heavy on the slick pavement. A medal for high-stress de-escalation glinted on his chest, but his hand rested close to his holster, the reflex of a man used to giving orders. There was no chase, no threat, just a law-abiding sedan driven by a black woman who didn't lower her gaze. Camilla wasn't in uniform tonight, but she brought something that made Kane hesitate, unshakable poise, and a phone ready to record. "Step out of the vehicle," Kane barked. Deep voice, no explanation. Camilla looked at him through the rearview mirror. "May I ask why I'm being stopped?" Her voice was calm, like a ticking clock. Kane's jaw tightened. He moved closer, hand gripping his holster. "Out. Now." Camilla slowly opened the door, every movement a quiet act of defiance. She picked up her phone, turned on the camera, and placed it on the dashboard. The glow of the screen sliced through the dark, sharp as a blade. Rain tapped steadily on the hood. It was the only sound as two worlds faced off. No guns, no shouting, just a battle of wills. One man believed his badge gave him power. One woman knew dignity never had to beg. Kane lost patience. He yanked the door wide. Camilla stepped out onto the wet street, steady. Before she could speak, Kane grabbed her arm, spun her around, and shoved. Her chest slammed onto the cold hood, her cheek pressed to smooth metal, pain flashing bright. Rain soaked her shirt, but Camilla didn't flinch. Her eyes, fierce, searched for the camera lens. It was still rolling, capturing everything. Kane's tight grip, rain streaming down his face, and a badge glinting under patrol lights. Bradley Kane, 15 years on the Toledo police force, wore his badge like armor. Commendations for crisis resolution shimmered on his chest. He'd been praised for swift arrests, but never had a look shaken him. Tonight, Camilla Hayes didn't bow her head. Pinned against the hood, her cheek pressed to cold metal, she stared at him, calm, razor sharp. like a blade that never needed to scream. For the first time, Kane's confidence cracked. "Don't resist," he barked, though Camilla hadn't moved. Her body stood solid beneath his grip. Her voice rang out, stone steady. "I'm not resisting, and I'm recording for both our protection." The phone on the dashboard lit up, lens wide open like an unblinking eye, aimed straight at Kane's face. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from the shock. She didn't yell, didn't fight, just told the truth, and it rattled him. Kane, a former National Guardsman, had joined the force at 25. He was used to seeing fear behind windshields, used to the compliance that came with a badge. He believed in the system, believed the shield of qualified immunity would protect him unless he was clearly in the wrong. Camilla wasn't like Sandra Bland or Elijah McClain, people without cameras who didn't survive. She had placed her phone with care, let truth be her weapon. Her composure, no anger, no provocation, disarmed him. He loosened his grip, stepped back. His boots crunched against the wet gravel. Rain slicked down his hair, but it was Camilla's stare that made him hesitate. For the first time, the badge didn't inspire fear. "Turn around," Kane ordered, voice trembling just slightly. Camilla stood upright, brushed rain from her coat, and kept her eyes locked on his. "I've complied, officer. Now tell me, why was I stopped?" Kane hesitated. His hand lingered near his holster. He muttered, "Broken taillight." Camilla's lips barely moved, but she knew. She knew the game. And the camera kept rolling, an unblinking witness to a system used to hiding behind a badge. Rain pounded the streets of Toledo. The flashing lights of the patrol car blinked like a warning. Camilla Hayes, cheek bruised from the hood of her sedan, sat upright in the driver's seat, eyes locked on Officer Bradley Kane through the rearview mirror. His hand twitched near his holster. His voice cut sharp, "Step out of the vehicle." Camilla's reply came like steel. "Why was I stopped?" Her finger moved slowly, deliberately, tapping the record button on her phone. She placed it back on the dashboard. The lens stared Kane down like an unblinking witness. She remembered the key words from West Point law modules. Always ask for cause. Always secure evidence. Tonight, she followed the lesson to the letter. Kane froze. His jaw clenched tight. Her calm unsettled him. Others might have panicked, screamed, or resisted, fuel to the fire for a man like him. But Camilla didn't flinch. Her hands stayed visible, her gaze steady. Her question like a blade. "I know my rights." The camera caught it all. Kane's hand near his weapon, her bruised cheek, the tension in the air wound like a live wire. One move, hitting record, had flipped the power dynamic. Camilla wasn't just a driver anymore. She became a witness. And the badge on Kane's chest turned from shield to spotlight. That little lens on her phone, sharp as a knife, exposed a system built on silence. She was a black woman, a military officer. She'd seen flashing lights before, but this time she wasn't playing by their rules. "I'm recording for both our protection," she said. "No provocation, just truth." Kane's eyes darted toward the camera. His confidence splintered. And in that moment, the lens didn't just shield Camilla, it cut through the system, carving light into a structure long hidden in the dark. Camilla didn't post the video for fame. She sent it straight to the Toledo Civilian Complaint Review Office, with one witness affidavit and a single sheet of paper. "I am Lieutenant Colonel Camilla Hayes. This incident requires review." The footage cut like a blade. Her voice steady. "Why was I stopped?" Kane, silent, hand near his weapon. Her cheek bruised. Black Lives Matter Ohio picked up the clip, shared it on X. It lit a firestorm. Outrage, support, backlash. No threats, no screams. Just one cop flexing power without cause. In a downtown office, veteran investigator Ellen Carter watched the video, jaw tight. No justification, she muttered, facing pressure from higher-ups to bury the case. Kane's file was pulled. 82% of his traffic stops involved people of color, 3 times the city average. Most had no warrants, no body cam footage. The numbers, long buried, now burned under Camilla's lens. Young journalist Sarah Lynn messaged her, "I'm digging into Kane. Do I have your okay?" Camilla replied, "Truth needs a voice." Anita Brooks, BLM attorney, had lost her brother in a traffic stop years ago. She saw Camilla's video as a rare crack in the wall. She reposted it, called it a justice blade. Camilla wasn't seeking a war, just accountability. But the video kicked a door wide open and exposed a system built to conceal. 1 month later, the Police Oversight Board summoned her for a closed hearing, not as a victim, but as a voice too clear to silence. Camilla made her case. Mandatory dash cams, written explanations for every traffic stop, education for youth on how to stay safe during encounters. One board member scoffed, "You teaching the police now?" Camilla met his stare. "I'm demanding fairness." Off to the side, Ellen whispered to a colleague, "She's saving the truth." The board voted. They'd review stop data, launch a body cam pilot program. Camilla walked out, chest still aching, but knowing the mark her blade left behind wasn't going to fade. The Toledo Blade headline read, "Army Lieutenant Accuses Toledo Police of Unjust Traffic Stop." Camilla's video, no weapons, no blood, just her asking, "Why was I stopped?" while Kane stood silent, hand near his gun, her cheek visibly bruised, cut Toledo in two, like a blade through fabric. On X, Maria Jones, a black mother, wrote, "Camilla is me, she's my daughter." But John Carter, a white man, fired back, "Police were doing their job, she's making this a spectacle." Another driver messaged anonymously, "This could have been me." At a BLM Ohio press conference, attorney Anita Brooks declared, "Camilla is the blade of justice." Behind closed doors, the police union, led by conservative ex-officer Tom Hargrove, met quickly, urging Kane to stay silent. But not everyone agreed. Whispers inside the union circled, "She's right, we know she is." Reporter Sarah Lynn dropped a viral story. Kane stopped 82% people of color. Is this justice? The Toledo Blade wrote, "This video is a mirror held up to America." 1 clip, 2 stories, a routine stop for some, a moment of terror for others. Camilla stayed quiet, declined every TV request. She wasn't chasing headlines, but the story no longer belonged to her. Veterans spoke out. No one should be humiliated for their skin color. The police union countered, "Stop smearing law enforcement." Hargrove, desperate to hold influence, pressured city council. But the video kept them on edge. Anita texted Camilla, "They'll retaliate. Are you ready?" Camilla nodded and submitted her next proposal. Release patrol data, mandate anti-bias training, no marches, no shouting, just one sharp blade. The video had carved its way into Toledo. On X, the firestorm continued. Not just hashtags, real questions. Who does the system actually protect? A black mother messaged Camilla, "My son almost didn't come home. You were his shield." Camilla read the words, eyes stinging, not from fame, but from knowing the truth was spreading. Not through headlines, but through the people bold enough to ask. Just like she did. Toledo City Hall, Thursday, 9 a.m., buzzing like a hive. The hearing room was packed, air heavy as lead. Outside, protest signs clashed in silence. Stand with Camilla faced off against "Don't Criminalize Police." Camilla walked in, White shirt crisp, spine straight, a complaint letter in one hand and a thin folder in the other. No lawyer, just preparation and the weight of truth. Bradley Kane sat 3 rows away, badge catching the light, eyes avoiding hers. At the microphone, Camilla's voice was precise. How many unjust traffic stops end with no accountability? She opened her folder. 82% of Kane's stops involved people of color. Less than 6% had a clear reason. Most had no video record. She paused, thinking of her 17-year-old cousin who never came home after a stop years ago. "If I weren't a lieutenant colonel," she said, voice steady but thin, "I might not be standing here today." Her eyes stayed dry, like a blade cutting through air. Kane rose slowly. His voice faltered. I was trained to trust my instincts, but I was wrong to let bias guide them." Camilla's video, her bruised face, his hand near his gun, had stripped that instinct bare. A council member, retired officer George Riley, pushed back. "You trying to handcuff us?" But even he fell quiet when the footage played. The silence wasn't for Kane. It was for Camilla's stare, unshaken, without hate. The hearing lasted 3 hours. No applause, no immediate victory. But in a closed session afterward, the council voted. Mandatory video recording, traffic stop data review, creation of a civilian oversight committee. Kane would take bias training, starting with this line: "Power exists to serve justice, not emotion." Camilla stepped outside. Sunlight touched her shoulder. She told reporters, today the truth was heard. Off to the side, Riley mumbled to a colleague, "She made us look in the mirror." Camilla walked on, knowing the blade she had drawn had left a mark no one could erase. Camilla Hayes grew up in Cincinnati, where cracked sidewalks held stories no one stopped to hear. Her mother, a night shift nurse, taught her resilience through tired smiles. Her father, a war veteran, taught her that silence could be power waiting for its moment. At 14, police searched her backpack outside school, suspecting drugs. They found nothing. No apology followed. That night, Camilla opened a copy of the Ohio Constitution, scribbled notes on worn paper, and made a quiet promise. Never again would she be humiliated without a voice. Her eyes burned, but she vowed to wield truth like a shield. In the Army, she faced bias head-on, assigned to trash duty as the only black officer, denied command despite being top-ranked, sleeping under desks just to meet deadlines. Small scars forged her, a clear voice, a gaze that made people listen. One night, she stared into the mirror and asked, "If I get pulled over, what do I do?" Not fear, just clarity. Rank wouldn't save her if she made one wrong move. Her life was its own form of training. After the hearing, a Toledo high school invited her to speak. No slides, just truth. She sat among students. Jaden, 15, bright-eyed, whispered, "I'm scared I won't make it home." Camilla looked at him and said, "Justice is something you carry, even when it feels lonely." She taught them, hands visible, ask why, record everything. A month later, Jaden's mother wrote, "He got pulled over. He recorded. The officer apologized. Thank you." Jaden visited her, grabbed her hand. "I want to be a lawyer just like you taught." Camilla stood before the mirror, adjusting her West Point uniform. The memory of her 17-year-old cousin who never came home from a traffic stop still stung. But Jaden and kids like him, they were the mark she was leaving behind. No medals, just a sharp blade. Truth she had forged from scar tissue, now handed to the next generation, so they wouldn't just survive, but dare to ask, dare to stand tall. That simplicity made it impossible to ignore. Camilla's lens, sharp as a blade, forced the system to look at itself. At the University of Illinois, law professor James Carter opened his lecture with the clip. "Today, no theory," he told the class, "just reality." Students watched in silence, Camilla calm and unyielding, and saw that truth didn't need drama to strike hard. A Missouri police academy used the video in training, pausing at the moment Kane's hand neared his weapon. How do we stop things from going too far? 6 cities, from Toledo to Oregon, began trial programs for patrol cameras, despite pushback from unions. The mayor of Oregon admitted, "The Hayes incident forced our hand, tight budget or not." A California high school began teaching students to ask why when stopped, with Camilla as the example. They called it the Hayes effect, not because she fought, but because she refused to let the truth be buried. No riots, no headline hunting, just one black woman who knew the law. No shouting, no surrender. A young Toledo officer, after a training session, confessed, "I never thought I had to explain a stop. Now I get it. If there's no reason, I'm in the wrong." Still, the police union, afraid of losing control, pushed back. "These cameras are handcuffing us." Camilla remained steady, teaching students, record, ask why, stay calm. She wasn't after medals, just a woman driving home, using truth as a shield. When asked how she stayed so calm, she answered, "I knew it could happen. I was ready." Maya, 16, practiced setting her phone to record. Asked, "Is this right, Miss Hayes?" Camilla nodded, "Yes, but keep your eyes steady." At a local church, a father said, "I used to teach my son to lower his head to survive. Now I teach him to ask because of you." The Hayes effect isn't a moment. It's a mark, etched by one unwavering woman, lighting the path for children, for officers, and for a system that must and can do better. 3 months after the hearing, Camilla's video had swept across America. CNN ran the headline, "Lieutenant Colonel Challenges Ohio Police with a Camera." BLM called her the Blade of Justice. The hashtag Justice for All surged across X. But the spotlight cast a shadow. One night, Camilla found a crumpled piece of paper shoved under her door. A messy scrawl with the police union symbol stamped at the bottom. "Shut up or end up dead." An anonymous text lit up her phone. "Watch your back." Her heart pounded. A flash, her 17-year-old cousin who never made it home after a traffic stop. Still, she didn't flinch. She was a lieutenant colonel. Battlefield pressure was nothing new. But this wasn't Iraq. This was Toledo. And here, the enemy wore badges, backed by the system. She saved the note. Checked her security camera. A hooded figure had walked past her house that night. She reported it to Ellen Carter, the investigator. Ellen's voice came grim over the line. "The union, Hargrove's crew, is playing dirty. They're scared you're unraveling their order." West Point colleagues warned her, "Don't push it too far." But to Camilla, silence was defeat. She called Maria Jones, the mother from X. "Are you scared?" "I am," Camilla said. "But my cousin never got a second chance." She began planning, like a mission, workshops at churches, teaching communities how to face traffic stops. "Hands on the wheel, ask why, record everything," she said, eyes sharp, just like the night Kane pushed her against the hood. An elderly woman whose son had been lost in a stop gripped Camilla's hand. "You give me hope." Camilla wrote the city council a letter. Threats can't silence truth. Attached was a photo of the threat note. X exploded with hashtag #StandWithCamilla, but the union didn't back down. Hargrove, the hardline former officer, led a closed-door meeting. He called Camilla a threat to the force. Some younger officers disagreed, quietly. Whispered support traveled hallway to hallway. Camilla stood in a church sanctuary, teaching from the pulpit. Truth is the shield. She knew this fight was just beginning, but the blade she had drawn had already split open the system, and it was starting to crack. Bradley Kane, now suspended, refused to fade quietly. His badge was gone, but his ego still burned. Once proud to protect Toledo, he now saw the badge as a burden, but couldn't admit he was wrong. He appeared on a conservative Toledo talk show, eyes red, hair unkempt. "I'm the victim," he said. "Hayes fabricated this. That video's edited." He painted Camilla as aggressive, ignoring his hand near his gun, ignoring her bruised cheek. Half the viewers called him a hero, the other half called for his firing. That night, in his dark apartment, Kane whispered to no one, "I was just doing my job. Why did it all fall apart?" He hired a PR handler. Fake stories spread across X. "Hayes has a criminal record. She provoked the officer." But Sarah Lynn, the journalist, struck back. She unearthed 3 buried complaints. A black teen punched by Kane. A woman's car searched without cause. "Kane says Hayes lied," Sarah posted. "But what does his record say?" The article exploded. The police union turned its back. Anita Brooks, BLM attorney, messaged Camilla. He shot himself in the foot. Camilla didn't waste a second on Kane. She stood inside a Toledo church before 60 people, demonstrating how she had set her phone to record. "Your camera is your shield," she said, her eyes just as sharp as the night Kane shoved her. Jaden, now more confident, shared, "I got stopped last week. I asked why, recorded it, and got home safe." The elderly woman, who had lost her son, clapped softly, eyes red. "You saved my grandson." Camilla taught them, "Ask, what law did I break? And stay calm." Another mother said quietly, "My son almost didn't make it home. You're the blade of justice." BLM invited Camilla to speak at a march. She declined, but sent a video instead, "How to Survive a Traffic Stop." It went viral, millions of views. Kane saw it on TV. He slammed his fist on the table. Camilla's face, unforgiving, unshaken, haunted him. A blocked number called Camilla late one night. "You haven't won yet." She smiled, set the phone down, and knew the truth she had carved was already splitting the system, even if Kane kept flailing in the darkness of his own making. The Toledo Police Department filed a lawsuit demanding Camilla's video be blocked, citing officer safety. The courtroom buzzed, air tense, journalists packed wall to wall. Camilla entered in a black suit, a thick folder in hand. Anita Brooks, her BLM attorney, leaned in and whispered, "They're scared of the truth." The prosecutor argued, "Hayes' video incited backlash. It endangered Officer Kane." They played a clipped version of the footage, conveniently omitting Camilla's question, "Why was I stopped?" and the bruising on her face. Anita rose and demanded the full video. She played it all, Kane's hand grazing his holster, Camilla calm, unmoved. Judge Margaret Ellis, known for presiding over a major police case in the 90s, listened intently. She leaned forward, asking quietly, "Is truth worth the unrest it brings?" She requested a recess to review it again. Camilla stood. "I asked for a reason, like every citizen has the right to. If the truth is threatening, the fault isn't mine." Anita called Ellen Carter to testify. Ellen confirmed, 82% of Kane's traffic stops involved people of color. Dozens of buried complaints. Sarah Lynn presented receipts, evidence of Kane's hired PR campaign spreading lies. X exploded with hashtag #FreeTheTruth. Outside the courthouse, protest signs read, "Cameras don't lie." Judge Ellis squinted, scribbling notes. Kane was called to testify.
He trembled. "I trusted my instincts," he mumbled. Anita pressed. "And did your instincts bruise Miss Hayes's face?" Kane lowered his head, voice cracking. "I was wrong. I never meant to." The room went silent, not for his words, but for Camilla's gaze. Steady, without hate. Judge Ellis delivered her ruling. The video stays public. Justice demands that truth be visible. The crowd erupted in cheers. Camilla exited the courthouse, passing Kane, shoulders slumped, eyes lost. She said nothing, just walked past, her stare sharp as the blade she'd carved into the system. Toledo announced sweeping reforms, mandatory body cameras, expanded civilian oversight. The police union, led by Tom Hargrove, fell silent, their smear campaign now exposed. Ellen texted Camilla, "You made them look in the mirror." Camilla nodded, knowing the truth she'd protected like a shield had left a scar too deep to erase. Behind closed doors, the city council debated new laws, even with a tight budget. Camilla stepped out into the sunlight, shoulders squared, ready for the next battle.
Camilla returned to West Point. She stood before a room of cadets, eyes sharp as the night in Toledo. She held up her phone. "If you're pulled over, what do you do?" A video played, 4 minutes. Her bruised cheek, her calm voice. "Why was I stopped?" "Justice doesn't come from a badge," she said, "or from rank. It comes from the truth you protect." She read Maya's letter, thought of her cousin, and whispered silently, "This girl won't become me." The Hayes effect spread far beyond Toledo. 10 states debated transparency laws, despite fierce opposition from police unions. Ohio Senator Jim Vance told Fox News, "Police are being handcuffed." Anita Brooks countered on CNN, "Handcuffing bias is justice." X buzzed. #Hayes effect went viral. A mayor in Oregon messaged, "The Hayes case forced our hand. We're piloting body cams, tight budget or not." Camilla declined interviews. "I'm not special," she said. "I was just ready." One evening, she received a letter from Maya, now 16. "I got pulled over. I recorded. I made it home. Thank you." A California officer wrote, "I used to be like Kane. Now I explain every stop." Camilla folded the letters, placed them beside the old threat note. Her eyes stung, not from fear, but from what was possible. Jaden, now 16, visited West Point. "I want to become a lawyer because of you." Bradley Kane, his badge long gone, lived in obscurity. A small article read, "Former officer resigns after Hayes incident." Camilla faced her cadets. "Truth is your shield. Carry it." The Hayes effect wasn't a monument. It was Jaden, Maya, the officers who changed. Not a grand victory, but small, lasting cuts, carved by one unwavering woman. Camilla stood before the mirror, adjusting her West Point uniform. She knew the blade she'd carved into the system had left a mark that would never fade, even as the system kept resisting. A year later, Camilla stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her West Point uniform. Her phone, the same one that had recorded that night, buzzed. An email from Jaden's mom. "He wants to be a lawyer because of you." A Missouri officer wrote, "I teach my squad to ask why first now. You changed us." Camilla clenched her fist gently, warmth spreading through her chest like sunlight. She knew the truth she had forged was rippling outward. Driving toward West Point, her eyes scanned the road. The glow of patrol lights, once haunting, no longer made her flinch. She was ready. In class, she recounted Toledo. "I was shoved. My cheek was bruised because of my skin color. But I asked why, and I recorded it. You can too." A black cadet raised a hand. "How do you not feel scared?" Camilla smiled. "Fear is human, but preparation saves lives." The Hayes effect kept growing. Atlanta launched Civics 101 courses using Camilla's video. BLM Ohio created a community camera fund. Camilla donated 50 old phones to under-resourced youth. The Police Transparency Act was being debated in Congress, despite fierce resistance from police unions. X lit up again. One viral post read, "Camilla never shouted, but she made the whole country speak." At a local church, she taught again. Hands on the wheel. Ask why. Record everything. A father, eyes glassy, told her, "My son made it home yesterday because of you." Camilla squeezed his hand. She remembered her cousin, 17, who never came home after a traffic stop. That night, she drove back in the quiet. Streetlights flickered. A patrol car passed by, no flashing lights. She smiled. Her hand rested on the phone beside her. She knew. The blade she had carved had left a mark that couldn't be erased. Truth, like a shield, now protected her, and all those brave enough to ask, to record, to stand upright, even when the system still fought back.
Toledo, 11:17 p.m. A light drizzle traced the windshield. Camilla drove her sedan home from a church workshop, eyes scanning the road. Flashing red and blue lights lit up behind her, just like that night with Kane. Her heart beat fast, but her hands stayed steady. She pulled over. Gravel crackled beneath her tires. Window down, both hands on the wheel, back straight, like a soldier. She thought of her 17-year-old cousin who never made it home after a traffic stop, and whispered in her mind, "This time, you'd smile." A young officer stepped out, badge gleaming. His hand never touched his holster. "What's the violation, officer?" Camilla asked, her voice like steel. He spoke gently. "Taillight's a bit dim, just checking on it." She turned on her camera. The lens stared, unblinking. He didn't flinch. "You're recording? Good. Protects us both." He snapped a photo of the light, showed her. "Just get it fixed soon, Lieutenant Hayes." Camilla paused. He smiled. "I saw your video. Made me rethink how I do this." He walked back. Patrol lights off. Camilla exhaled, her chest lighter. She thought of Kane, of bruised cheeks, and her cousin's eyes in old dreams. But tonight was different. The truth she had forged had changed one officer, one moment. Jaden, Maya, her West Point cadets, and now this young man. All carried the marks she had carved. She drove on. Streetlights shimmered like memory. Her phone buzzed. A message from Sarah Lynn. "The Hayes Act just passed committee. You did it." Camilla smiled, didn't reply. That 4-minute video, no weapons, just truth. Still cut sharp as a blade. She hadn't changed the world, but she'd carved into it. A shield for those bold enough to ask. The Hayes effect wasn't a statue. It was the quiet, lasting marks left by one unwavering woman, lighting the way for a system still learning to do better, even as it resisted.